Hey, welcome to Local Marana Podcast, the first live broadcast of the podcast. Something we're going to start doing every Tuesday. We used to do the drop. We did a couple runs on that, and it was great. It was fun. But what we figured out with some research and some help from the new guy that's here, that we need
the new guy,
Scott Robb.
Where you at, Scott?
New guy operating.
New guy.
New guy's unmuting and then remuting.
Yeah. Hey, and the drop's not going anywhere. We're just putting it on pause for a little bit.
Right.
We're going to focus on this to start.
Yeah.
And the drop will be back.
Yeah. So we welcome you to the Local Marana Podcast. So the purpose of this live broadcast that we're going to be doing from here on out is to connect with the community better. And it's part of our strategy, our strategic plan going into the next couple of years is we want to make sure that we have a media element here in the community for the people. There's a lot of media entities that have existed for years, legacy media, but they've been recently dropping the ball, constant misspellings, all kinds of untruthful information. And it's become a thing where we were like, hey, how about we just make something for the people where we're bringing in, business owners and community leaders and people that have insight in the community or people that have questions, right? So we have this open chat element that's on here. So if you have a question, you can ask us. We'll answer it to the best of our ability. We're not affiliated with the town, right? We're not affiliated with the government. This is just a local program that we have invested in over the years. We've spent countless hours, lots of money building this thing. The main goal was to make sure that we represented businesses and stuff here in Marana and Northwest Tucson in the best way we could online with a presence that didn't exist at the time. And we're going to get more into what's happened since we've done that. But we can honestly say from the response from the community and things we've seen is it's worked. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that a little more.
And, let me jump in here and add this to it. It's real easy to do. This is a real easy project to expand because we love our community. Mm-hmm. We love what's happening here. We love the growth that's happening here. And it was pretty easy when we said, you know what, we need to lean into our neighborhoods, our communities, right, the people that we do life with. So it was a really easy call.
My favorite part about this going forward is we created these other entities. This is Marana.com and also MaranaFoodie.com. The reason we brought those is we want This is Marana to be like a really good media connecting kind of news and events platform for people here. And also the Marana Foodie element. As Marana grows, there's going to be more restaurants and stuff that come here. And we want to highlight right, the restaurants and the people that are in that because you being in that industry know how difficult that is. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just always so many moving parts to it, just like the thing we were talking about yesterday with DoorDash.
Don't get me started.
Again, it's like just another obstacle to get around and another,
I wish we could do
moment.
I'm gonna go off on a little rant here. You know what I wish we could do? Somehow, if we could have a simulator that allowed people to become a small business operator for 6 months. Yeah. I guarantee you people would look at life and business totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, we all small businesses pretty much aspire to be big businesses. Right? I mean, that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. But if there could be some kind of simulator for small businesses, I believe a lot of things would change. Mm-hmm. Because here's the reality. I'm going to go on this just for a second. There's 30 million businesses in the United States. 29.5% of them million are small businesses.
Right.
We've only got a small segment of government-sponsored big businesses. I'll just call it out. Mm-hmm. And the small business is the backbone. They do all the innovation. They do all the hiring. The big guys gobble that up. I'm not complaining. That's just the facts.
Right.
I'm going to jumping back to the media though. The intent of what we're trying to accomplish here. It became real clear to me one day that I was with the mayor. Shout out Ed Honey.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, Clint, you are the new newspaper in Marana, local Marana. This is Marana Foodie. And I'm like, well, we're not a newspaper. You don't read it like we used to. Mm-hmm. But you're right. what you are experiencing and watching and seeing local Marana. This is Marana Local Foodie. All the other things that we do locally. You're right. We are next gen leader media. Mm-hmm. Legacy media has had a good run at it. Newspapers have been around 100 years. They're gone.
Yeah.
Radio had a good run at it. You can't, in the new vehicles starting this year, AM radio is not an option in the
Most
Mustangs.
cars, yeah.
And they're all
Subaru,
following.
too.
Yeah, they're all following suit on that. We all know that people are not tuning in. It used to be when we had 3 channels, everybody tuned in to one of ABC, NBC, CBS, then Fox came along.
Yeah.
That was it. That's where you got your news. But we're not that anymore. Those are opinions, especially the legacy media. It's opinions. They realized in the 60s with 60 Minutes, hey, we can make money off this. It was always a public service.
Right.
And now we realize, well, we can make money. Well, you know what happens when money gets involved, especially in storytelling. Well, we're going to tell the story that's going to create the most money, regardless of facts.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So that's why we've done this. Was real easy. We're coming back. We're almost radio, and it's 1920, and we're starting something kind of new.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's an integrated experience.
Well,
right?
that
it is.
true.
It's new. It's new.
It's
right.
brand
so
new.
you have your website element. You have your podcast element. You have your blog element, and then you have these tie-ins with thisismarana.com and localmarana.com, and not to mention, we don't like to divulge a lot of our plans going forward.
Wait for the book. The tell-all is coming.
But there's a lot more stuff we have scheduled to show up and everything. And one thing we didn't do yet today that I think is really important is, I think there's going to be new listeners. There's no doubt. Like, we have a really good listenership on the podcast itself. It's our number 2 show on all the things that we've done. But we should introduce, who we are and our roles
start with
here.
you.
So
start with you.
I'll start. So yeah, if you haven't seen me before, my name's David Samorano. I am I grew up here, born and raised. I went through the Marana School District, and I worked for the town of Marana at one point for 7 years, which was a great experience.
Tell them what you did.
I left to start this venture.
No, what did you do as an employee?
Oh, I was a police officer for 7 years.
Thank you very much for your service, David.
Thanks. Yeah. And there was a calling to do this. There was opportunity to do this, so we did so. And I'm here, and I my title, other than just having fun here, is Chief Executive Officer, for whatever that means.
CFO, Chief Fun Officer.
Chief Fun Officer. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Clint.
My name is Clint Peak. I've lived in Arizona since 1988. I've lived in I live in Marana. I sleep in Oro Valley. That's been since 2002. It's an awesome place to raise children. My children are grown now, but it's an awesome place to raise children. It's an awesome place to do business.
Yeah.
Marana. I love Marana. It's not my hometown, but I got here as quick as I could, so I feel like it's my hometown. I think a lot of people would think I grew up here.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And David and I have known each other since 2016 in a previous experience. And when I was kind of thinking in my head how to utilize this space, I started praying.
Yeah.
Literally, that David would become a part of it, because I knew I couldn't do it by myself. Matter of fact, I knew I couldn't do it at all if I didn't have the talented resources that David was going to bring. And here we are 4 years in, 3 years full time at it, but 4 years. And it's worked pretty well.
It's good,
It's worked pretty well. And then
let's jump into our new guy.
Yeah, and this guy just, you know what,
Scott, put yourself on the screen there, buddy.
and let me set this up real quick with Scott. This guy I've known now. Check me if I'm wrong, Scott, but are we pushing close to 3 years?
I would say so.
Okay.
I would say.
I remember when we first met. I just don't remember, what the time frame was.
Yeah, and we had known each other through some other interactions, but I started to come in because I was leaping out of government myself and looking for a career change, and started doing a podcast. Like, we started doing some brainstorming with the podcast, because one of the things that was really important to me is to still continue to lead in the arena of police, fire, and military. And because I was fire as a background, I wanted to continue to be in that environment. So podcasting was probably the best first thing that I saw as I was leaping into other endeavors. And so we started hooking up with this. And for me, what was so important of being a part of this is having a voice, a voice for people that don't have one. And we saw what happened, what happens when your voice is controlled by big government, by big media, by all of those different things, to where the small business owners are not protected. The people that have an independent thought aren't getting their messages out there. And so I was like, okay, so on top of the podcast, I got to be all in on this company, this independent media company that can actually give a voice to the people and be a platform for them and for us. So it was an easy sell. And because David and Clint are so awesome, it was a perfect match.
See why it was so easy to bring him on board?
Yeah.
It was official last week.
Right.
Although we've known each other a while, it was official last week. And it was, again, we prayed about this.
Yeah.
Lord, we need help, and help was already here in the form of Scott Robb. Give us a little backstory about you, though, Scott. Just jump in here about your childhood and your younger years.
Well, sure. So another local staple, born and raised in Tucson, my brother and I, we bounced around. My parents like to say I was initiated in Benson Highway area, and we moved up into the 05, the Flowing Wells region and Midtown, and kind of just continued. Huge baseball guy, huge sports guy in high school, and hopped right into the fire service young. Started my career at South Tucson and did a couple of years in there before being picked up here on the Northwest side for Oro Valley, and then put 24 years in total.
Again, thank you both for your service.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're welcome.
You see a common theme
Great
here?
job.
You see a common theme with the people that I've recruited, for the lack of a better word. These are servants.
Yeah.
They have a servant's heart. They have a servant's mentality. And now we're translating that to the media because we want to serve our community. That's our role.
Right.
Correct?
It is. And we're going to do that first by giving them the weather for the next week.
Beautiful.
Scott's going to handle that for us.
Unmute. There's a lot of buttons in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's at least 40 I know of.
Yeah.
But
That's on the front row.
as you can see, this is a local show, so I wanted to show the weather in Marana.
There you go.
Because that is our current location. And so it looks like it's going to be a good weekend. Today we are high of 67. We're going to warm up the next couple days, and we got the folk festival coming in this weekend.
Beautiful.
So it's actually going to be a great time to get out and listen to some live music. I'm a musician as well, and I got a lot of great friends. And for those that don't know or haven't been to the Tucson Folk Festival, it's I believe the biggest folk festival in the United States. That
Really?
happens over a 3-4 day period, and all sorts of people come from out of town. It's going to be a little breezy Friday, but other than that, it's perfect weather. So you can go to so many different venues downtown and see a lot of great live acts. So if you're somebody that's into live music, this is a great weekend for you.
So is there like
weather.
a reference email or a website or somewhere where we could get more information or where different things are happening?
Yeah, you can go to TucsonFolkFestival.org. I believe they're .org, or just Google search it. But they've got a live lineup of events from. There are actually a lot of great acts coming in this weekend, and I do a lot of songwriting for other people, and so it's super cool to see and listen to songs that you've co-written being delivered by other people. So yes, I have a vested interest in the success of it, but mostly it's because I love live music.
The song's Watching Your Children Grow. Right?
Probably. Yes, none of the Fireman Robb songs are going to be out there.
Fireman Robb.
Yeah, so for a reference, guys, real quick, That's Fireman Robb. If you've been in town, more than a minute, you know who that guy is. Well, there he is in person.
Did you watch his video in Slack?
I did.
It's awesome. I've actually saw that video many, many times.
It's on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, the whole purpose of it is because I was a musician when I was getting into the fire service. I always thought there's a caller here, and this is about me right now, so I'm going to mute them.
Do they owe you money though? If they do, answer that sucker.
We don't want that. But yeah, it was a way to still use my music outlet. And when I had kids and they were small, and you'd hear a lot of kids music, and you're like, oh, that's so annoying. Oh, Elmo, no, Elmo. And I wanted it to be something that was educational, but still that parents could listen to and get stuck in their head. So I started kind of writing Jack Johnson, kind of just easy beat style that had some good messages. And so we did Stop, Drop, and Roll, Cool Pool Rules, and those are still out there. And I see kids that were like first graders when that came out, and they're adults now, and they're like, I still remember the Cool Pool Rules, and they'll actually sing it and tell me what those rules are. Super cool.
So, hey, real quick, let's plug your music a little more. Spotify, where can we find you, Scott?
Yeah, if you want to support local, I'm a local musician. I do a lot of music around town on the side, but Scott Robb is where you can find me on Spotify, and some of those, and anywhere that you stream music, you'll find me on there. And I got a lot of original music on there, and you can also find Fireman Robb is actually on Spotify, and there's the songs that I've written for that on its own platform. Cool. So,
and then you play around town then a lot. I know you do the Omni a lot, and you're working on some other stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of I work with a company that books me for higher end resorts, and so we do some background music, some happy hour style music. I'll do a bunch of covers of a bunch of different styles, and it's all live music is, I don't think it's ever going to go away as something that people can connect with, no matter what you can do with automation and AI songwriting and all of that stuff. There's something to be said about a live music experience. And it was so cool. This weekend we just started doing a few tunes and having just sing-alongs with people that you didn't know and you've never met, but there's a commonality because people recognize some popular tunes, and just to be able to sing together, it's like the human experience that society's trying so hard to push away, and we are maintaining not only with how we're going to connect with people through the media company and live broadcast, but we do live music. We want events where humans can connect with other humans.
Exactly. I'm going to jump on what you said there.
Please.
The push away, doubling back to legacy media. If you can't get past the gatekeepers, and they're gatekeepers in all legacy media, you're not part of. No one's telling your story at all.
Yeah.
And that's been in place for a long time.
Yeah.
The gatekeepers have held the keys to who's getting exposure, what we're going to talk about, and right down to the music, because we all know there are some incredibly talented people that never got the recognition that they probably should have because they didn't play the game or they didn't know the right people.
Right.
So we were talking about this earlier a little bit to drift away from the main focus is if you're a business, especially a small business, best idea wins every time, or should. Right. And that's usually the case. That's not the case in bureaucracy or corporate America. It's who you know. And we're trying to break that.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to break that. We are breaking that mold. It's time for everybody to have a voice.
It is. And you talking about the inevitable pushback. That was the subject matter for today in our episode. And, there's a lot of routes we can go down, right? We can go down the ridicule. Yeah. We can go into and attacking people and putting people on Front Street and all that. But for me, when I look at that kind of stuff, I think that if you're going to be putting that out there, you yourself better have a really good foundation on your morals, ethics, and how you do things. Because if you don't, you're going to you look like a fool. So when I see, when I see news stories coming out and they put it out and there's all kinds of misspellings and everything, and I'm like, come on, what are we doing? Yeah. But to go back to the pushback, you know, when we were talking about us doing this and why we're doing this, we've gotten asked that a lot. Well, why are you doing that? And when we tell them our why, okay, there's an understanding of it, but oftentimes as we see these things happen, we see a lot of imitation of what we're doing.
David, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And we also see the attempt to drown out what we're doing and an asserted competition move in entities or organizations that
David,
shouldn't be
say
part
what's
of that.
on your mind.
Well, I am saying what I'm on my mind. No, I'm saying what's on my mind.
Spell it out. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting pushback from places that there shouldn't be pushback.
Yeah, let me just say this. If you want to blatantly put out there that you're completely in bed with legacy media, but you also want to put out that you support local and that you support your community, cut it out.
Hypocrite.
Yeah, cut it out. And going forward with it, it's like we need to address it, right? People need to know about that happening. Address it. Because if you're gonna work in the space we're in and be untruthful, people are gonna know about it.
Yeah.
And there's a reason to that, right? It's because what are we looking for? We're looking to support the people, right?
Exactly.
The voice of the people got taken away a lot over the last couple of years. And this isn't, I'm not going to go down to this freedom fighting First Amendment issue thing, right? But what we're talking about is we can't continue to let people and organizations that are untruthful come in here and try to and let's not assume that they're going to come in here and do the best thing for us.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, we're the greatest thing in the world. But
we're not.
What I'm going to tell you is we've lost a lot of money and time investing in this thing. But I wouldn't say it's a loss. We've invested a lot of time and money to this thing on the true belief that we're serving and helping. Let me ask you something, right? What's our key thing that we do here? What's our bread and butter?
Advertising.
Digital advertising, right? If somebody can't tell the truth on air or in an article, what makes you think they're going to tell you the truth about your advertising?
Well, they're not.
How do you go down that? How do you go down that road? Why would you go down that road?
Well, the whole thing, David, and way longer than a couple of years, although we've seen it intensify with COVID and all that. Mm-hmm. I won't even touch that at this point. We'll come back around to that. But the misinformation has been, for me personally, it's on purpose. It's not by accident. It's deliberate, and it started a long time ago. We the people, not just in Marana, but we the people as Americans. Yeah, try that First Amendment thing out for real.
Yeah, you know what's the cool thing too with this is we're so used to these little bites in life, right? Little bites of dopamine content, that's supposed to just catch and it's supposed to make you feel angry or most of the times it's an anger or angst kind of feeling or jealousy or envy, right? I was talking with somebody yesterday. They're like, yeah, every time I go on social media, the posts that come up are, my house is supposed to be this clean, or my car's supposed to be this cool, or, I'm supposed to dress this way, right? Well, what we've started to do, and which has been so great, and I have to just give it to the people here, I have to give an applause to the leaders here in this community, is without hesitation. Yeah, there we go. Without hesitation, they have come in here on this long platform and told stories and shared information in a way that is just not muddied. There's no agenda to it. It's just
Chief Riley a couple of weeks ago with David. That was
Scott.
I mean, with Scott.
Yeah,
that was an awesome podcast. If you haven't seen that, find that. It was 2 weeks ago.
Did someone just burp in the mic?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that you, Scott? Are you hot?
Negative. That was not me. Whatever that was.
Whatever that was.
Oh, I must be.
But she gave an special. Well, the whole thing was awesome. I don't want to chop it into pieces, but right out of the gate, shared her childhood and stuff. I won't give any of it away, but it's like, whoa, no idea that was your background.
Right.
2, wow, that was your background.
Yeah.
That's that. I mean, go watch the episode. We've had the mayors, we've had council people, we've had chief of police's, Jeff Bridget. I don't want to leave him out. Terry Rosema's been in here. And they've come in long form, graciously, and really shared a lot of
in conversations you wouldn't usually. Now Terry has a fantastic podcast, by the way.
Yes.
The Real Talk podcast.
Yeah.
Avid listener.
Yeah.
Go Terry, keep it up.
Yeah.
But you get just this different element because even when he's there, it's pretty much controlled and everything. Like you got, with Terry, he came in here. There was no question outlined.
He didn't get
He was
get an advance notice of what we're going to ask him.
All right, I'm coming in. Right. Well, because it's trust and what are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's just real.
Well, we're not going to ambush anybody in here. No, come on.
No, come on.
Chris Collins,
Yeah.
executive pastor of Oral Valley Church of the Nazarene. I remember when we had him in. It's the first time.
Yeah.
He was like, I love these long form, podcasts and interviews because you get to flesh stuff out. So many things. Again, back on legacy media.
Yeah.
You're getting a 15-second soundbite. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you're left, well, I'd like to know what was said before or following this piece.
Yeah.
I've been interviewed numerous times, and as I'm sure Scott has over the years, on legacy media for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Most recently, when we were doing the road closure back in 2017 here on Ina, I went on. I'm going to give you the best positive spin I can. Too many people were, doing the boo-hoo. Hey, it was rough. I get it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. There's still repercussions from that. But I'm going to give you the best positive spin I can on a bad situation. Mm-hmm. And I told every one of them. But if you misrepresent what I said and you start chopping me out, don't call me up again.
Yeah.
Now, they were kind enough to leave things as is, and we made it fun for them. I think made it easy. But too many times you're only getting the soundbite of the agenda by the media company that's whatever they're trying to sell.
Yeah.
And really what they're selling is blood, gore. Do you ever really on I don't watch, true confession, I don't watch news on TV, and I haven't for years.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like what I see is the latest, and these should be news, but it's always the Don Henley song from the Don Henley that was a member of the Eagles, still is. But if dirty laundry, that's what we're airing on our news. It's always a crime and somebody stole from somebody, and it's true. If you open your news source right now, that's all you're going to get. You're not going to get any positive news. And I'm here to tell you right now, there is plenty of positive news in your neighborhood, in my neighborhood, in your neighborhood. It's all around. I think we should don't hide from the truth. Don't ignore the facts. Don't ignore the dirty stuff. But on the same token, how about we live the dream media? That's on purpose. Yeah. You can't live the dream if you're living in the gutter all the time.
Yeah.
You just can't.
And to get out of the gutter, I have to stress the importance of developing a really good sense of self-worth, right? Develop that strong sense of self-worth.
And how do you do that, David, when you're trying to imitate everybody and watching social media? How do you do that?
You can't. You're in the rat race.
You're caught up in it.
Yeah.
Stop it, people. There's a better life out there for you if you choose. And there's a lot of people in this. We're not preaching to one or two people out there right now.
Yeah. And when you develop that self-worth, I can't talk today. It's the coffee for sure.
Yeah.
Self-worth. It's also good to build a network of like-minded individuals too, because there was a podcast that came out a couple days ago, maybe last week, Joe Rogan podcast. I'm a huge listener of Joe Rogan. He is the guy for podcasting, right? The person, the king. But the reason he is the guests he brings on and the platform that they're given. And this was something that was talked about, and it was the intrusiveness of the algorithm in daily life. The current amount of time that a user is on their phone now, the average is 9 hours a day.
That crazy.
Most people aren't even sleeping that.
Yeah.
Right? But it's so when you're talking about like-minded individuals, we're not talking about following them on. I mean, you can follow them on social media, but there's this other way to follow and to listen and to be educated, right? So, like, we want our listeners to also be in that space is like-mindedness, right? We know that there's always going to be negative spins to stuff we say, or people are gonna attack us or do things. We've seen it before, right? It's nothing new.
Give me your best shot.
Yeah, but it's like we want our listeners and stuff to be representing kind of what we put out there, right? Lead by example. And that's what we're working on doing. And to do that and achieve that, you start with your self-worth and the sense and the importance of that. Build your group of people that are like-minded. That is going to really, really help deal with pushback that comes. Because first off, you're going to be able to identify the pushback. Because you know, okay, well, what does this worth to me? Is there any value to what's going on? Let me look in to see what's going on, right? We had this conversation last night that has bled into here is we were going through stuff and doing research last night and came across stuff that was concerning. And it's like, well, if we don't identify it and we don't see that, like, and everybody just pushes it off, it'll continue to grow and it'll continue to happen. So it's like, well, let's address and talk about that stuff today, right? And that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
jump in.
Just to chime in. I used to be, so a few years ago, I was this dude that was like, I'm not going to do any social media. I'm not really going to put myself out there. And what switched for me was, excuse me, if you're not doing it, if good people aren't doing it, then it's left up to all of the charlatans and the opportunists, and that's who's influencing our kids.
Exactly.
That's who's influencing the majority of the people. So it's kind of like, I got to hop into this because it's more important than that. We have to have good voices out there. So that's what changed for me.
Right. Hey, speaking of a good voice, we've got a guest scheduled to come in here. Let's go to break.
Okay. Let me finish up on what Scott just said.
Yeah.
Just real quick. Scott, I am 100% with you on that. I'm new to the game. David kind of brought me in from a business standpoint. Then I even had a handle that wasn't my real name. I had to change it because everybody thought my real name was Clint Rock. What do I call you, Mr. Rock or Clint? And I'm like, my name is Peak, so I had to fix that. I never thought I'd use that. But real quickly, I am that person, Scott, when I see stuff coming up that's real negative, especially if it's from someone I know, or I'm like, no. That I'm not addressing that, but I'm going to put up the most positive thing I can to counteract that. I'm glad you feel that way, Scott. Beautiful.
Yeah, that was a beautiful way to put it. But hey, let's go to break. We'll see you after this quick little commercial break, and we're going to bring on David Willard, who is on the Marana Unified School District Governing Board.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with a tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net. We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles. Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Are you looking to establish a powerful online presence for your brand? Look no further than Live the Dream Media. Our team of experts possess the capabilities and skills necessary to make it happen. From creating compelling content to analyzing data and making strategic decisions, we've got it covered. Don't let a lack of social media know-how hold you back. Visit ltdmedia.net for more information.
Beautiful. Dave, good morning.
Easy.
Good morning.
I'm awesome.
Hey, welcome back. We are here at the Local Marana podcast. We've come back from our break, and we have an awesome guest with us today. It's David Willard. He's with the Marana Unified School District Governing Board, and he's also a pastor of a local church. So he's got some local influence, some local experience, and some local insight. So we're going to go ahead and talk to you and let you introduce yourself.
Hey, great to be here.
Welcome, David.
As
welcome.
you said, David. Nice to meet you, David. Clint. Pastor of the Gate Church, and been on the Marana Governing Board for about a year now, running for election this November. So I just love Marana, love everything about the town, and just want to do everything I can to push it forward into the future.
Amen. Well, he fits the profile.
Yeah. So how long you been on the school board so far?
I've been on the school board since September. I was appointed by the county school superintendent, a gentleman who had served for 43 years. Dan Post passed away in office, and with a senator or something, a governor would appoint someone who doesn't finish a term. So the county school superintendent appointed me after 16 applicants, open election, and they picked me. So I'm on the school board.
So you replaced Dan Post?
I did.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
We love that family.
So what's the key thing the Marana Unified School District Governing Board is working on for this upcoming school year?
Well, you have 2 new schools that are going in, so that's a big topic. Marana, as the mayor said last week in one of his announcements, we're kind of a victim of our own success. There's so much hyper growth in Marana, one of the fastest growing communities in Arizona, and I think we're building a home a day or more than that, and schools almost can't keep up. So we're not overcrowded, but we are full. And so opening new schools is a huge thing, because again, there's going to be a moment where we're like, oh no. So we're trying to stay ahead of that. The schools, the curriculum. Marana's a really diverse town. I mean, it's one of the biggest school districts in Arizona, and we have everything from the Ritz-Carlton to very rural people way out in Navra Valley, and it covers this immense tracts of land, and we want an opportunity for every student, honestly, to have the same education. And so I mentioned last week to the superintendent why I serve on the school board is I want to make Marana the best school in Pima County. I want to help make Marana schools the best school, so people want to come here because they know their kids are going to be taken care of, because really it's about giving a great education to our children.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that? I love that you've taken that approach, Dave, because the reality of it is, when you're looking for a new home and you've got school-age children, what's one of the first? Actually, that's the main, isn't it? What am I?
Yeah, I know a fair number of real estate agents, and that really is, especially if you're moving from out of state, you're going to look for a good school district. You're going to look for a great place, safe, that your kids are going to get equal, if not better, education wherever they came from. It's really important to most parents. What's the most precious thing we have in our life besides our faith is probably our family, and taking care of our kids, certainly in the home, but wherever they go, whatever they do to set them up for success. I mean, I think about that all the time, and my kids are all adults now, and I still think about how can I continue as a father, a grandfather, to keep setting my kids up for success.
What is the population you guys are expecting to come here within the next 5 years? What are you planning for?
Well, that's a great question.
Is that one I can ask?
I'm not trying to know
you
the
can always
answer,
tell me no,
but I think, we, as a school district, we have 12,000 students, 3,000 employees. And so the population of Marana, I believe, is 85,000 at the moment. And so it could be closer to 100. So I would expect 10 to 20% growth at least.
Wow. And forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but also there's the open enrollment component, right? Where students from other school districts can still come and enroll into the Marana Unified School District.
That is true. And I think there's preference given that if you actually move into the district, those students are given priority.
Okay.
I'll have to check my numbers, because, if you have open enrollment and people are just flooding in here and you literally live in the school district and your kid can't go to school, well, that defeats the purpose of the school district.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure our residents have access to the schools. But yeah, open enrollment is certainly a thing. But again, it works against us too. People could go somewhere else to take their kids to school, and a few people choose to do that. But we want to bring those people back. Hey, I want to be in Marana schools.
Yeah. What is the biggest reason for parents to take their students away from a school district. What are you seeing is the correlation with that movement? I mean, I understand jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
once in a while it's a job, once in a while it's a location or a grandparent or a kid situation after school. Sometimes it's the perception that a charter school or a different school district has a better education. And again, we want to make sure that perception, Marana first. Or, maybe they have a friend who is a teacher. I mean, that's maybe a more rare circumstance. But we don't have a lot of people flooding away from Marana.
Right.
Because people really like living here. It's a great town. There's so many good things about it. So those are some of the reasons.
Okay. Right. I dig that. So what do you do when you're not on the governing board? Let's talk about that.
First and foremost, a husband, a father of 4 kids. I'm a grandfather. I just had a grandbaby a few days ago.
Congratulations.
My granddaughter was born, and this is a crazy story. Literally almost born in the car. My daughter went into labor at 8 o'clock.
Pushing the limits.
On a few days ago, and she walked into the hospital, and they're trying to sign paperwork, and she's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And the baby was born 10 minutes later. Yeah. So 2 hours of labor. It was a wild ride. So I also pastor a church. I've always been a church member, a church goer. And for years and years, I was a business executive. I worked all over the country, flew around Canada, Latin America for a number of years, and just served in the local church and never imagined I would actually be pastoring a church. But, you go to church and you think, so I really like this church. I like these things about church. I like the fellowship here. I like the way they preach the Bible. And I thought I would never do this certain thing, or I would always do this certain thing, never imagining God would call me to the ministry. And so I learned to preach in prisons. When I was a new church member some 30 years ago, a friend of mine was preaching in the prisons in Texas. And he said, hey, why don't you go with me? And about 6 weeks in of just supporting him and going into the prisons in near Austin, Texas, he said, "Hey, you're gonna teach tonight." Just didn't even warn me. He just threw me in the fire. And I guess that for me, that lit a fire under me to just bring the good news to everybody we meet. I think there's so many attacks on the family, marriage, and I think our country is founded on the foundation of.
Amen.
God first, family, and so I always want to bring. Literally, the gospel translates, and I'm sure you guys know this. You talked about it. The good news.
Yes.
I just want to bring the good news.
Amen.
I want to teach people how to love God, but then still love each other, and you can do it all. There's just so much divisiveness in our country, and between the political parties, and I think they're missing the biggest component that would heal our country, which is the good news. So I'm basically spreading the word of God.
Were you eavesdropping earlier when we were having a little conversation? Because that's pretty much, you summed up our whole morning, love God, love your neighbors, kind of. Yeah.
Sounds like the 2 great commandments, right?
Amen.
On this, roll up the entire prophets and all the Old Testament. So the words of Christ himself. We just came out of Resurrection Sunday, so it's a great time to think about what Jesus has done for us.
Amen.
But I think part of the problem that I try to alleviate as a pastor for years, and I'm gonna hit on the church a little bit, is that the church was full of judgment. The church was saying, you got to look just like me.
He was eavesdropping.
I was not eavesdropping. And the church says, you got to look like me. You got to be like me. You got to be just like me. Then you're welcome. But first you have to believe, then you can belong. But we had it backwards for a number of years. You must belong then before you can believe, and I don't think that's right. Jesus himself said, do not judge. I don't judge. Why do you? The Father's the judge.
Amen.
And so as people, we're not even qualified.
Exactly.
And I've been telling the church this since January. I said, no, think of the best person you've ever met, the best person you've ever known in your life. They'd still make a terrible Jesus.
Yes.
Just a terrible Jesus. So we're not even qualified, to do this. So our job is to bring the good news. Let the light of the Word of God change people's hearts. We guide them, we lead them, we get them in position, we encourage them. I think that's what we need in church. Preach the Word of God straight as it's written. We're not smart enough to write the Word of God ourselves. It's an inspired Word of God. 2 Timothy 3:16 says that. So let's just read what's there and do what it says. It's pretty simple.
Hey, I'm a preacher's kid. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
And you know what my dad's message was? He just preached it, and he said, and if you're mad at somebody, I'm reading it right out of the book.
Right. I've said that before. I didn't write those words, so
You know,
Yeah.
I'm here to deliver the message, but this is right here. So take it up with God.
So how do people get involved with, first off, your church? Where can they find you?
4140 West Ina Road at Ina and Old Father, right behind Dairy Queen in the corner. It used to be the old Roma Cafe for years and years, the restaurant. Go to thegatechurch.com or gatechurch.com. They both work. And just check us out. I always tell people, hey, come 3 times before you make a decision. And I give away a little of my tagline here. And I meet new visitors every Sunday. And I say, hey, this is my favorite church. You should come here. This is a great church. You know, and we just love on people. And we don't care what you look like. I mean, I preach in jeans.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an old country boy.
That's the best shirt that has ever come into the studio.
Without
like,
a doubt.
hands
I was
down.
looking at that too.
Yeah, I was like, man,
wins.
he just
hand him
went
the
for
trophy
it.
right now.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of airtime on my primary feed just because of the shirt.
And
Scott's in charge, so
normally I have a
cameras.
ton of color in my shirt, so I just went with some muted colors today. So get ready.
And for the reference, you noticed him gesture. The Gate Church is maybe, 1,500 feet from where we're sitting right now?
Yeah, I was almost across the street from the studio. I'm sure a lot of people don't know where the studio is.
Oh, they don't, I'm sure.
It's, if you're a Tucson or in Pima County, that's just right up Ina Road off
I
the
didn't know,
interstate.
Father.
I didn't know, Father. It's a good spot.
Yeah.
A lot going on down here on I Know Father, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so how do people get involved with your re-election on the Marana Unified School District Governing Board? What are some things they can do? How can they help you?
You know, you just get the word out. I think it's a real honor to serve the community of Marana. I think I work really well with all the principals, the superintendent, and the leaders of the school district, bringing a lot of my business experience, plus hopefully some common sense to the school district. Not that they don't have it, but I think just a real steady, more mature voice for the school district. And I do have a website. It's willard4marana@gmail.com, the number 4, and you can get involved. I'm still collecting signatures to get on the November ballot. And so you have some of those at
so
your
swing
place.
by, grab yourself a Copper Creek cookie, cinnamon roll, and sign David's petition as well.
Yeah, the school district's really interesting. It's the only elected position in Arizona where you still have to go get every single signature as manual. You can't do anything online. It's old-fashioned. Boots on the ground.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Get involved. And, we're going to ramp things up here starting in mid-April and get the word out, maybe some door-to-door flyers, and just let people know that it's really important in local politics and in any local election to elect people who really care about the city, care about the town, and not coming in to just try and turn the whole thing upside down. I mean, there are so many good things going on. We just want to make that even better.
Right.
How many signatures do you need total?
You need, I think it's 364 to get on the ballot. I'm right at 320, so I'm really close. I still have 8 weeks to go, and so I want to get at least 500 because if people sign your paper, you just make sure they actually live in the school district.
Yeah.
You just don't know. Most of the time you do, because most of the signatures I've collected myself, but sometimes I've had people sign, I don't live in the district, so I cross their name out and you need to move on to the next person.
Oh, that's a lot. 500. That's a lot.
Well, he needs 366, so you
366 a minimum.
But he
then,
wants that
if it's a
pass.
20%.
Yeah.
if
So
it's a
he's
close election or someone contests the election, you want to make sure you
Right.
have valid signatures
exactly.
to meet that minimum.
Right. You know what you guys do is really important because I have seen some odd stuff happening up north with some of the school districts up there, and I've seen. Yeah, I mean, I've also seen with the parents too. I've seen some stuff going on with the parents, but I've also seen that here locally with some of the parents and stuff that's going on. So, I mean, if you're listening and watching, you're looking to make a difference or get involved. This is a great way to do so.
I think it's overlooked.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
the school
'Cause
boards
you brought up
tend
something-
to be overlooked.
Like how often do parents go to the governing board meetings? How often do it's like they don't do it until there's a problem, right? They're not proactive, they're reactive for the most part. Right?
How many parents typically will show up at a governing board meeting?
When you're not closing a school.
Oh, well, that would fill the room. And then really, Marana hasn't had that problem. We did one years ago, but it's turned into a whole resource center now.
You're talking
Really
about,
cool.
again, the Thunderboard, right?
I was at that meeting. Yeah. I was
So
at
probably like 5.
that. Yeah.
See, isn't that crazy? My kids are grown as well. but I grew up in Opdyke, Illinois. Population 200. You know how many people were at every PTA meeting?
200.
200. No, I'm serious. Yes. No, they were. Everybody was there. Everybody was invested in the children, and plus it was more of a social event.
Right.
My kids were in Phoenix. We won't call it school district, but way out west, and 900 kids in the first PTA, or I think they called it there a PTO. Honey, we got to go early. There's 900 kids. There's going to be 900 people there if we're using the same ratio. There were like 7 people in the room, counting the 2 of us and a couple of teachers in the PTA.
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of people are very busy. And of course, if things are going well in your kid's life, you're happy with how it is and you may not show up. But, like in most, I guess politics or the angry people show up, or the people get an award.
Yeah.
Show up, they're like, the family will show up for our spelling bee champion, and that's wonderful.
Yeah,
and we want to support all those kids and young people, but generally the people who are upset about something, and they have a right. Everybody can have 3 minutes to speak at the beginning of a meeting if they have a grievance or a complaint, or really some people just show up and say thank you, which is amazing.
Right.
Because. We don't do this certainly for anything other than to support the town and support the school.
Yeah. A couple months ago, Lauren, who is our writer for thisismiranda.com and some Miranda foodie stuff, she did a write-up on an interview Dan Streeter did here with, was it with Mayor Ed? Ed Honey?
Yeah.
And he was talking about that new high school over there that's coming on Silverbell.
Yes, the I Choose Academy, and that may or may not be the final name, but it used to be the hospital,
right?
Mm-hmm. And we have a really good administrative staff at the school district, and they are like, "Hey, we need to snatch that up. It's like a bargain basement price for what it is." And so it should be open to the end of next year, and we're hoping to offset some of the crowding in the two high schools. Well, we have 3 high schools: MCAT, Mountain View, and Marana High School. And it gives students some extra additional learning opportunity to take a deeper dive. They want to learn about genomes or they want to learn about mathematics. They can do their core work at the high school, and then they can come over there and just go as deep as they want. If you're a gifted musician, maybe we'll have a special music program. We haven't worked all that out, but it's a way of, if you're in technical service, maybe welding or nursing, or you want to get a skill that you can graduate high school and literally just go to work.
Yeah, which is okay. Right?
That's great.
Which is totally
I think it's fantastic. Unless you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something of that ilk, let's just go to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
so
Dave,
capacity of 400. I think I said that.
Yeah. 400.
Okay, so because both high schools right now are 6A.
Yeah, they're packed.
They're packed, and to get in that standard is how many? 2,700 or plus, or 3,000.
I have to look that up. But I think you're pretty close on the money. And we do have the land at Marana High School, but the infrastructure can't support no water or electric. So I
remember hearing that. Yeah, because they were even talking about trying to go vertical at one point, but it just wouldn't work. So is there another high school coming?
Not yet.
I tried. He said not yet, but I mean, at some point, we'll probably have to. It's just you look at the growth out there in Gladden Farms.
Well, we'd like to build one, but it's all about money, bond money, and so
yeah. For sure.
There will be one in the future, I am sure.
There has to be.
Yeah.
There has to be. I mean, we've grown 40,000 people since I moved to the area, and I've only been here 20 years, so we're growing 2,000 a year, and I don't see any slowing down of that based over a 20-year time frame. We're growing. Well, in 2018, I think our population was 42,000. Mm-hmm. I was checking from the previous one of the previous elections, and now we're at well over 65.
Yeah.
So the growth is just staggering, especially over the last 10 years.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and that's why I said something like 80, 90, but the school district actually goes out in all these different
Does it go
towns.
down to like 3 points even?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty
right
far
out to
down.
Pinal County, to Dove Mountain, to Shannon.
Wow.
All the way out to
So you're talking
Ironwood.
at least a third more of what actually resides in the town of
The actual
Marana.
town, yeah.
Because I knew, you said that, and I'm like, well, but I know something maybe the listeners or viewers don't know about Agua Valley, and I didn't know the 3 points, so I had no idea we went to 3 points.
Yeah, I learned that when I was working over there at the high school.
Wow, are you kidding me?
Seeing talking to the kids and stuff. I'm like, hey, where do you live? And they're like, oh, all the way out in 3 Points. And I even had to drive out there a couple times. Yeah.
Do we run a bus out there?
we run buses.
What time do they pick those children up?
I would say probably the high school starts after 8, so probably 7:30, depending if they're first or like on the way back. I mean, they have the routes all worked out. They do a great job.
Yeah. Wow. That's got to be a 30-minute or 30-mile drive, hasn't it?
And, out there in Picture Rocks and all that too, those roads are not forgiving at all. Those buses get beat up out there.
Actually, the term roads is loosely used.
Yeah. I used to live out there with the folks before I moved in. I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
First off, car can't ever be clean. You go down the road one time, it's like.
So we got 4-wheel drive school buses. Is that what we're saying?
We don't, but they just go slow. We go slow. Be careful.
Yeah. So.
Hey, it's a beautiful area out there, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, my wife and my first house was in Picture Rocks.
Yeah, that's cool
31 years ago.
Really?
That is cool out there.
Man, there was a crazy storm out there last year. The one that shut the power off. I was at the high school when that happened.
The solar panels blew over. Had all sorts of problems,
trees
like a
flying everywhere.
microburst. Yeah.
And
my
the entire brand new turf just disappeared.
Oh yeah, the football field went flying. Oh, so we were there for a football media event, and Coach Stewart texts us. He's like, "The football field's gone."
Yeah.
We were like, he's like, the whole thing's canceled, but the football field's gone. We're like, oh no. But what was cool about that is the community went out there. Even the South Point players went out there and helped roll the football field up so they could reapply it back to the field. Like they came before the game, like a week before the game, 2 weeks before the game.
Yeah.
It was really cool. But they didn't play it. They didn't play at Granite Stadium. No. The games all stayed. They were road warriors.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be nice to see some home games this year. Yeah. That was just, man, I'm going to tell you, David, I have never seen anything like that one, man.
I've heard different people say that was an F1 tornado. Some people say the microburst, but I don't know. Someone might know. I don't know, but I've heard different things about it.
Well, he was sending video and pictures and stuff, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I grew up in Tornado Alley in the Midwest.
Right.
I mean, I recognize, I'm like, whoa, I think we had a tornado just cruise through there.
There were buses with windows blown out.
Yeah, it was intense.
Like those windows are not easy to bust out. Like it was, I've never seen. I would say here's my perspective. I'm not a weather person at all, but I'm very sure that was a tornado.
Absolutely.
Because the intensity like really, really peaked for quite some time. And like usually microbursts are like, like they hit, they're there, and then it's gone. Like it's just kind of like before the storm. This was just whirlwind.
Well, weren't there pictures of like people that were traveling on tin that took
they saw a funnel cloud,
that they kind of actually saw the funnel cloud?
Yeah.
You didn't see it because you were in the eye of it. But
I was in complete darkness in the auditorium. Couldn't see anything.
That's the crazy thing about a tornado.
Yeah.
Let's leave the weather to the weather guys.
There you go. Please.
I tend to do that, Scott. I mean, I was just yelling at you like 5 minutes ago.
Where's Jim Cantori?
Now I'm going to take over the weather spot. So behind the scenes, I don't know if anybody saw, but I was like, Scott, the camera's on. Not remembering that there's 3 hot mics here, even though you had headphones on. I thought you couldn't hear me.
It's live, baby. That's what happens. It is live.
I had you muted.
He's all done.
It's like, we're good.
He's in control of it all. Well, David, it's been a pleasure having you here. If you could close out our segment with you with something inspirational, motivational for the listeners for this rest of the week.
Yeah, I'll give you one of my favorite scriptures. It's out of 3 John 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So that covers about all of it.
I love it.
In my mind, I'm like, he's going to a verse.
Yeah,
right?
there you
How
go,
do you
man.
trump that?
And just be nice.
Yeah.
How about that? Just be nice. Be like, what does it say? Be the change you want to see. I like that saying.
Absolutely. Well, David, we thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and go to ad break one more time, and then we'll close out the show and talk about what's coming up next week and some other things and have some fun.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, Scott.
David, thank you, buddy.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with a tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net. We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles. Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Are you looking to establish a powerful online presence for your brand? Look no further than Live the Dream Media. Our team of experts possess the capabilities and skills necessary to make it happen. From creating compelling content to analyzing data and making strategic decisions, we've got it covered. Don't let a lack of social media know-how hold you back. Visit ltdmedia.net for more information.
Hi, guys. Hey, thanks for listening to our debut live episode of Local Marana. We really appreciate it. Thank you to David Willard for being here. Get out and support this man. He's a fine man. I've known him for a number of years. It's real easy to support him, even though I don't live in Marana and can't vote for Mr. Willard, Reverend Willard. Thank you to Scott again. Great job in there, Scott, as always, and keeping us straight on the weather, and
happy to do it.
And
happy to
keeping
do
us
it.
straight on the music. Hey, plug the music one more time. Plug the weekend one more time, please.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, what I'd like you to do is get real serious and plug the music for me for a second, because I want to.
Okay.
Serious.
Okay. I know
where this is going. I know where this is going.
Hey, we're trying to be serious here, man.
I'm trying to. That's just too much. Hey, come on here, Scott, and all the folk music that will be presented downtown Tucson. Is that anywhere close?
You sound cute.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
That Clint, that was heartfelt, and I appreciate you plugging the
My
music.
pleasure.
Come on out to the folk festival this weekend. Lots of great music, and we appreciate all of you and all of the listeners, and we appreciate the ability to do this, right?
Yes, we do. Hey, and one more thing. We do appreciate you very, very much. We do this because we actually love what we're doing. We love the town of Marana. We want to be more of an influence in the community for positive. And if you've got ideas, suggestions, want to be a part of the show, please or you want to just bang on us, that's okay too. That wouldn't be the first time. Tell us where we failed and tell us how we can improve. We're all good with that. But thank you so much for listening. Please support your local community, your small businesses. They really need it. It's really important to take care of local. And this is Marana, local Marana, and Marana Foodie. We love you guys. Thank you. Have a great day. Beautiful. I guess
Mommy.